Talking of Japan real estate, here's one. This is from a bloke called Shumatsuo Post. He's been posting about Japan real estate for a couple of years now. This was posted 3 days ago. It's called Japan has millions of cheap homes. Here's why.
Did you know there are many homes in Japan that cost less than what I paid for this car? And at the same time, there are many small condos in central Tokyo that cost more than a luxury home in California. And most people think...
He's right. I've looked at some of these. I don't know if anybody's seen the YouTube and Instagram shorts, and I think they're also on TikTok from an account called Fang Tokyo. Usually have a cute Japanese girl walking around showing off a flat somewhere in Tokyo, and they've got some hidden gems occasionally, but most of the time they are fairly expensive. And I think there's a Tokyo portfolio that focuses almost exclusively on luxury properties in Tokyo. So alluding to what Shu here is talking about.
I think Japan is crazy expensive like Tokyo, or full of free abandoned houses all over the country. Well, both are wrong. And if you get this wrong, you could waste tens of thousands of dollars chasing the wrong deals or miss opportunities that are right in front of you. I'm Shumatsuo Post, co-owner of Akiya Hub, and our team has helped hundreds of people from all over the world buy homes in Japan in the last year. From city condos to countryside Akiyas and everything in between. No hype, no sales pitch. This is the playbook I wish every foreigner saw before they even look at a listing in Japan.
Yeah, he's been really good. I've been following Shumatsuo Post and the way he's developed his business over the years. Akiya Hub is a fairly new thing, but I've watched him kind of grow this whole thing from sort of a nascent idea into what he has now, and I think it's brilliant. And he's not the only one. There have been some other services out there, like through Locals or Gumroad, where basically all they do is scour real estate listings that are all in Japanese and translate the information to English and publish their findings for a small monthly fee. Well worth a subscription. And yeah, if you can come up with the cash, it's great. But if it's something that you may need to get a mortgage for, yeah, you definitely want to try and get permanent residency or even go for citizenship, which can be a long and arduous process. I will say this, though, those of you who have advanced degrees from a university, say you've got not just an undergraduate degree, but a graduate level degree like a master's degree or even a doctorate, it does help to shorten the process. Sometimes making it as little as, at one point, you could get permanent residency in as little as 1 year if you were able to demonstrate that you had not only the educational background, but also the employment, or you had a business or something like that, that you could qualify for permanent residency in as little as 1 year. But this was several years ago when I looked at this, and the situation may have changed dramatically. I don't know.
Okay. So stay with me, because in the second half of the video, I'm going to share with you the checklist we share with our own clients to avoid disaster deals in Japan. Let's get into it. And here's what we're going to cover today. And if you watch until the end, you'll understand why Japan can be one of the most attainable housing markets in the developed world today. And we go through all these points. But first, I want to show you how different this market really is. On the left, you're looking at a real house in regional Japan on land that you could buy for about the prices of a mid-range family car in the US or UK. On the right, this is a small condo in central Tokyo that can really cost over $1 million in your currency.
I think I'd rather have the house. Something about being in the countryside near the mountains, all of that, yet still, I guess, close enough to civilization. I could live with this. I could live with this quite easily.
Same country, totally different realities. If you only see one of these, you completely misunderstand Japan. So let's fix that. So think of the Japanese housing markets like 3 baskets. If you could only look at the hot basket, you'll think Japan is insane. If you only look at the cold basket, you'll think Japan is giving away homes. The truth is in how all 3 baskets work together. So basket 1, the hot basket, it's maybe 10 to 15%. So these are the super central status addresses: Minato, Chuo, Shibuya in Tokyo.
Yeah, you're right in the heart of things.
And similar core spots in Osaka, Yokohama, and Fukuoka. They are near top train lines, packed with jobs, shops, and restaurants. And
Yeah, that's another thing to keep in mind, Chad. If you ever find yourself fortunate to be house hunting or hunting for a good flat somewhere in Japan, you're going to pay a premium the closer you are to a train station. So the shorter the walk to a train station, more than likely it's going to be a higher price, whether that's something that you're buying or even a flat that you're renting.
have that I made it feeling. So when you say headlines like Tokyo prices hit record high, this is the basket they're talking about. Basket 2, the middle basket, the big majority, maybe 70%. So most of Japan lives here. Normal towns, older condos, smaller houses within 60 minutes from a major station. Decent, but not glamorous areas. Prices here move slowly, or drift sideways, or gently down.
Doesn't need to be glamorous. I could be happy in a place like this. I think I'd do well in an area like this. I think a lot of people would.
Over decades. From the 1990s, many of these areas never fully recovered to bubble era heights. And that's a big reason they still feel affordable. This is where a lot of our clients find normal life homes or good rental properties. Basket 3, the cold basket, the right trail, the ice tray. This is the territory of shrinking towns, weak job markets, homes far from trains, or houses that need major repairs. Sometimes the land is worth more than the house, or the cost to demolish and fix everything is so high that the real value is almost zero. This is where many Akiya live, the empty house everyone posts on TikTok. Some are opportunities, some are money pits. So here's why this matters to you. When global media screams Tokyo bubble, they're usually staring at the hot basket. When YouTube screams Japan has free houses, they're often showing the cold basket. Yeah, I was one of those guys. But most real, livable,
At least he takes ownership of that. At least he owns it. You have to admire his self-perception that he takes ownership of that. Yeah, a lot of his old content used to be exactly like that. But what he's saying is quite, the truth is oftentimes somewhere in the middle.
Homes are in the middle basket. So if you only pay attention to the extremes, you will completely miss where the real affordability and long-term value lives. In a few minutes, I'll show you which basket I personally like for long-term plays, but we have to go back in time first. To understand why Japanese homes can feel cheap today, we need to talk about the bubble. In the late 1980s, land and home prices in Japan went crazy. Think about
the whole economy went absolutely mad, to the point where all of the real estate in Japan was more valuable than I think all of the holdings of the Vatican. That's how insane and on fire the Japanese economy was. It was to the point where you saw in popular films, television, and media at the time, even in anime, such as one famous example was Bubblegum Crisis. Two examples I can think of. Bubblegum Crisis in anime and the 1991 film Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, where this whole concept of a Japan that continued to be so prosperous and grow so much, so exponentially, that they just practically conquered most of the world. I know that was a major plot point in Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, where they talk about Japan becoming so prosperous and so powerful that no nation can stand up against it. And so all of the other countries, under the auspices of the United Nations, created the Earth Union in order to go up against, in order to be able to match Japan in terms of economic and military power.
about easy bank lending, everyone believing prices only go up, companies buying land just to flex. Sound familiar? A lot of people bought homes not to live in them, but because they thought, well, I can sell this for more next year. Then in the early 1990s, the bubble popped. Prices fell, and in many places, they stayed low for years. Here's a family story. Imagine a family who bought a house near the peak in 1990. They stretched their budget. They believed it would set them up for life. The prices dropped. For the next 20 years, every time they checked, the market value was below what they paid. That pain didn't just hit one family, it hit millions. What happened next? Families became cautious. They were burnt once. They didn't want to overpay again. Banks tightened up. They stopped throwing money at older, riskier homes. They looked hard at age and structure. Builders kept building new homes, and many people preferred brand new over used. That means older homes had to be cheaper to compete. A culture of depreciation grew. People started.
Yeah, in other words, the buildings themselves, they keep losing value. It's almost like buying a car. But in some places, like the United States, buying a prefab home, or what's sometimes referred to as a mobile home, you can't even get a traditional mortgage on those because they are considered depreciating assets because they're not bolted to the ground.
Started to expect that building lose value fast, almost like a car. So instead of a market where everything goes up forever, Japan ended up with a few hot baskets that recovered and kept going, and huge areas where prices stay flat or gently down for decades. This is one of the core reasons Japan can feel affordable today, especially if you're comparing to cities like Vancouver, Sydney, London, San Francisco, and Singapore, where people are still pricing a lot of future growth. If you bring in your home country mindset into Japan and assume prices only go up and used homes keep their value, you will completely misunderstand what's happening here. So in a minute, I'll show you one mindset that makes Japanese homes look disposable and how you can use that to your advantage. Here's something that shocks a lot of foreigners. In Japan, many people treat houses almost like long-lasting appliances. They buy new, they don't always invest much into maintenance. And after 20 to 30 years, they expect the building to be worth much less, or even close to zero. On average, condo building value often drops a few percent every year. So after 20 years, big price drops are completely normal. Let's break down why. Maintenance habits. In countries like US, Canada, or Australia, appraisers, inspectors, and banks put pressure on owners to maintain roofs, walls, wiring, plumbing. If you don't, it shows up in the valuation. In Japan, once the building is solid, some owners do minimal ongoing maintenance. Repairs get delayed. Reserve funds in some condo associations are too low. So 20 to 30 years later, you have huge differences. Some buildings are well cared for. Others are tired with hidden problems. That uncertainty pushes prices down for older stock. Inspection gaps, the terrorist problem. Until recently, home inspections were not standard in Japan. Many buyers don't know how to judge structure.
That's wild. You want to buy a home in the US, you have to have an inspection done. That's just standard procedure. That's fairly standard procedure in many parts of the world. That the idea that they just never really did all that is it's shocking.
Can't see behind walls, don't know the true condition. When you can't tell a good used home from a bad used one, you assume the worst, or you demand a lower price just in case. Economists have a name for this: the lemons problem. Unclear quality, lower prices for many older homes, not just the bad ones. How banks judge older homes. Many lenders still look first at age, structure type, wood versus steel versus reinforced concrete, instead of actual condition and real maintenance history. Even a well-kept 25-year-old home can get valued low just because of its age. So here's the important part for you. Japanese used homes aren't cheap only because they're old. They're cheap because quality is hard to see. If Japan moves to mandatory inspections, better maintenance records, and lending based more on condition, many good older homes would probably sell for more. But right now, that lack of transparency is a huge reason you can still find bargains.
And it's probably going to stay that way for a long, long time.
if you're willing to do the inspection yourself. In a minute, we'll talk about the 1981 earthquake rule that makes older homes seem even riskier than they really are.
You have to understand this is a very conservative country, and that means that they tend to not change a lot of things, and they tend to not like change.
Japan has earthquakes, a lot of them. So building rules, the seismic codes get updated over time. There's one date every serious buyer should know: June 1st, 1981. Homes built before this date follow older rules. Homes built after this date follow stronger rules. This creates a huge psychological line in the market. Let me show you what that looks like in real people. Story 1, the Nakamuras. The Nakamura family finds a lovely wooden house built in 1978. Big garden, sunny kitchen, friendly neighborhood, and a very friendly price. On paper, it's pre-1981. Some buyers would walk away immediately, but they bring a structural engineer. The engineer says the basic plan is fine, but we need extra bracing in the walls and stronger anchors to tie the house to the foundation. They pay for seismic retrofit and wall bracing. Add anchors, fix some weak points. In the end, the total cost, house plus retrofit, is still lower than buying a new house in the same area, and they sleep better at night. So here's the lesson. Pre-1981 isn't automatically bad. It just needs honest checking and sometimes upgrades. Another story, the big tower versus the quiet block. Amika is choosing between a 2010 high-rise condo with a big repair fund and clear paperwork. A 1975 low-rise condo with no major upgrades yet. The tower is more expensive, has higher monthly fees, but feels plug and play. The low-rise is much cheaper, but needs elevator work and waterproofing soon. Mika hates surprise bills. She chooses the tower. Her friend Ken is the opposite. He chooses a similar 1975 low-rise, spends money on windows and wall bracing, and still comes out ahead. Both can be smart choices if you know the real condition and the future costs. And
there's always trade-offs, isn't there?
another story, quiet retrofit. A family buys a 1980 house in the suburbs. It looks fine, but they still hire an inspector. The inspector finds soft flooring near the bathroom, old single-pane windows, weak wall bracing in a few key spots. They fix leaks, add braces, install better windows, and insulation in the attic. Now the house is stronger and warmer than many newer homes. Their friends say, "Wait, wasn't it old?" They smile and say, "It was old. Now it's better." So here's the key. The 1981 line makes many buyers prefer newer only. That pushes a lot of older homes into a lower prices brackets, even when they're fixable. So if you combine the depreciation mindset, the lemons problem, and the 1981 fear, you start to see why older homes in Japan can be so cheap. In a minute, we'll look at Akiya, empty homes, and how demographics push prices down even more. Japan is aging. Many
It's sort of like with a secondhand car. Sometimes all it really needs is just some really good proper detailing, a good tune-up of the engine, and you're good to go. You've just given it a brand new lease on life. Other times there may be some bits that need to be replaced, but it's usually not terrible, especially if you know how to do a lot of that yourself. It's just that with a lot of used cars, people in general can't be bothered, which new car dealers, they're not going to complain about that because that just means that it's going to drive more people to purchase new cars.
towns are losing people. Parents pass away, children live in Tokyo, Osaka, or overseas. Jobs move, shops close. The homes they leave behind are called Akiya, empty houses. And let me show you how that plays out. Here's the first family, the Kitamuras. Grandma and grandpa lived in a small town. Their house is far from the station. The roof is old, the kitchen's from the 1980s. They pass away. Their 3 children live in Tokyo, Nagoya, and abroad. But none of them want to pay to fix the roof, fly back and forth, cut the grass every summer, or keep paying property tax for a house they'll never use. So they drop the price to sell quickly and split the money. The buyer gets a cheap house, not because it's amazing, but because the family values peace of mind more than top dollar. Here's the second family, the Kato sisters. Two sisters inherit a house near a small rural station. The roof is fine, the bath is older, but works. There's a clinic and shops within walking distance. They list it. The first buyer worries about winter heating costs and walks away. The second buyer loves gardening, wants quiet streets, doesn't need to commute daily. They buy at a friendly price, paint the walls, upgrade the heater, and they're happy. Same Akiya story, very different outcome. Family 3, the town on the hill. A hilly town has many older homes with nice views, but steep, narrow roads. Snow in winter. Few jobs nearby. Young people move away. Homes sell slowly. Prices drop. One artist couple buys a small house for very little and turns it into a studio. For them, it's perfect. But for most families, it's too inconvenient, so prices stay low. So what do Akiya teach us? More empty homes equal softer prices in many towns. Some Akiya are fantastic projects. Some are money pits. Distance, climate, slope, and nearby services matter a lot. Areas often sell cheaper just to escape the stress and cost. And here's the part most people miss. There will likely be more Akiya for years to come. This is a huge reason Japan can feel cheap if you're coming from a...
They've already made it, the government of Japan has already made it quite clear they're not going to accept mass immigration. It looks like they're going to be enacting policies to either keep current immigration levels quite low or even to decrease immigration, maybe even stop it entirely. We don't really know yet. But what we do know is that population is going to continue to shrink, and that means more of these abandoned empty homes. For someone who's a bit enterprising, who wants to pick up a cheap property, maybe even renovate it into their dream residence, there'll still be plenty of opportunities for years, maybe even decades to come.
High-priced country. But Akiya are only one part of the story. Next, I want to show you why Japan's trains and building habits stop most of the countries from becoming another San Francisco or London. In some countries, the reason homes are so expensive is simple. Not enough homes where people want to live. Heavy zoning, slow approvals, not in my backyard politics. Japan is different. Let me explain. First of all, Japan builds a lot. If a project meets the rules, it usually gets approved. There isn't a national, we're only building this many houses per year limit. Good side, you don't get massive, long-lasting shortages in most areas. Bad side, in shrinking towns, new homes can become future Akiya. But overall, in the middle basket, more building means more choices, more competition, less extreme pressure on prices. And the second reason is that trains make good enough possible. Japan's rail network is insanely good. You do not have to live downtown to have a good life. A 30 to 60 minute train ride can cut your housing costs dramatically while still giving you shops, schools, parks, and clinics. This spreads demand out. Not everyone is fighting for one or two stations. Here's an example. Naomi works near Tokyo Station. Minato is too expensive. But in Kawaguchi, Saitama, or Funabashi, Chiba, a 12 to 15 minute walk from a rapid line gives her double the space for less than half the price. Her commute is longer, but her quality of life is still high, and her mortgage is far more manageable. Reason number 3.
I mean, it's like with the American suburbs. People left the city centers, started stretching out in areas that had been previously undeveloped, have to endure long commutes, but it's a matter of quality of life. For them, their quality of life is better, so they'll put up with the long drive in order to have that better quality of life on the home front.
Policies that favor new builds. For years, tax perks made new builds look better on paper than heavy renovations. Developers build. Old homes struggle to compete on price unless they're heavily discounted. Result, plenty of new supply outside of the hottest core. Used homes must stay affordable to attract buyers. In shrinking areas, today's new home can become tomorrow's Akiya. So let's put these together. Liberal building, legendary trains, new build-friendly policies, and you get a country where most places do not have the brutal permanent shortage you see in some Western cities. That keeps prices tame in huge parts of Japan, even while the hot basket, the central core, runs away. Next, let's talk about something foreigners feel very strongly, the exchange rate. If you earn in dollars, pounds, euro, or Singaporean dollars, the yen can make Japanese homes feel insanely cheap in 1 year, and just okay okay the next.
Yes.
Let's look at the quick stories. Story 1, Maya from California. Maya saves up $300,000. The yen is weak. Her dollar turns into a lot of yen. She buys a cute house outside
47
Tokyo,
million yen.
upgrades the kitchen, and still has a cushion. 2 years later, the yen gets stronger. If she tried to buy the same house now with fresh dollars, she'd get less yen and it would feel more expensive. The house didn't change, the exchange rate did. Story 2, Adam and Priya from London. They want a vacation home in Nagano. They watch the yen like the hawks. When it dips, they lock in their transfer and made an offer. The seller says yes. Later, the yen rises again. If they had waited, they would have ended up with less yen for the same pounds and maybe a smaller or worse property. Story 3, Yuki's parents. Yuki's parents lived in Canada for 20 years. They saved in Canadian dollars.
Oh,
they
poor
decide to
souls.
move back and buy a small place near family. The weak yen means their savings go further. They can buy closer to your station. They can afford better windows and insulation. Again, the same house, different exchange rates.
I mean, you can take advantage of this sort of arbitrage between currencies with even something as simple as just going to Japan for a holiday. Most expensive things that you will pay for is probably the airfare. You can find all sorts of discounts and affordable rates on hotels. Lord knows we've seen plenty of these just in Tokyo alone through Sukiyaki Travel. I mean, we just did, I've just got a video. It's posted and live now on my Rumble page and will be available soon on the YouTube page of the Hotel Mercury, which I believe the Sukiyaki was able to stay there for about less than $60 a night. Wasn't anything fancy, but is fairly decent. It was comfortable enough for a night and was still able to have himself a decent meal at a restaurant that's right there within the same building as the hotel. And for someone who's coming over, converting American, Canadian, Singaporean dollars, or British pounds or euros, you're going to, your home currency is going to go so much further over in Japan with the present exchange rates, with the most expensive item being the airfare. After that, you can enjoy Japan without spending a lot of coin. And that goes for the hotels, that goes for the food, it goes for most of the experiences. Hell, if you wanted to go to Disneyland in Tokyo, it's probably cheaper than anything you could get going to Disneyland or Disney World in America, or even Universal Studios in America. I know they've got a Universal Studios in Japan. So probably with current exchange rates, a lot cheaper to just do that. And you're going to an incredibly safe and clean and orderly country, rather than having to deal with the maddening crowds and oftentimes the chaos and disorderliness and even unlawfulness of places like California.
Different level of affordability. So when your friends say Japan is so cheap, what they might really mean is Japan is cheap for me right now with the exchange rate. Locals earning in yen don't feel the same bonus. That's why you hear different stories. Later, when we talk about your buying checklist, I'll remind you to think of currency risk as part of the picture, not just the local price tag. Next, let's talk about the homes that are too cheap. The ones where you should ask, okay, what's the catch? If you ever see a price and think, that's too good to be true. Good. That's your brain doing its job. In Japan, few common reasons make homes very cheap. 1. Non-rebuildable land. Saikin chikufuka. You can own it, you can repair it, but due to a road or setback rules, you might not be allowed to knock it down and build a normal new house. Future options are limited. Value is lower. 2. Road access. Setsudo rules. Land usually must touch a legal road by a certain width. If the frontage is too small, or the road isn't recognized. Fire trucks and services might have trouble reaching it. Again, lower values. 3.
That's a
Tricky
problem.
rights. Leasehold land, you don't own the land itself. Shared private roads, unclear boundaries. All of this makes planning harder. Many buyers walk away. The ones who stay demand a discount. 4. Hazard maps. Some homes sit in flood zones, landslide risk areas, tsunami zones. People factor in insurance, reinforcement, and peace of mind. Prices drop to reflect that. And 5, far from daily life. If you need to drive 40 minutes for groceries, or your kid's school is far and there's no clinic nearby, most buyers will pass. The one person who likes that lifestyle gets a low price, but it's low for a reason. So when you see a very cheap
Fair.
home, don't
Fair
say, what a steal. Say, okay, why is it so cheap? Low price is not the end of your research. It's the start of your questions. In a minute, I'll give you the checklist we use with our clients to catch most of these issues before they fall in love with the property. But first, we need to zoom out and look at the bigger money story in Japan. For a long time, from the late 1990s until around 2022, Japan lived in the world of low interest rates, low inflation, and a cautious, slow-moving housing market. Mortgages were relatively cheap. Prices outside the very core were not exploding. For many normal families, this felt like a bonus stage. This could still buy a decent city areas without being crushed by your monthly payment. Then, around 2012, something changed. A set of policies called Abenomics, plus strong moves from the Bank of Japan pushed stock prices up, the yen down, and a lot of money into high-demand city condos. From then, core locations like Minato, Chuo, and Shibuya of Tokyo began to run away from normal incomes. Prices climbed much faster than many salaries. After 2022, with global changes and inflation picking up elsewhere, the gap felt even larger. For a typical middle-income family, buying in central Tokyo started to feel like chasing a moving train. But here's what most headlines skip. The rest of Greater Tokyo still has value. If you're willing to look at Kanagawa, places like Yokohama, Kawasaki, or the Machida border, Saitama, Omiya, Urawa, Kawaguchi.
These are all lovely places. I've been through a couple of them myself. They're fantastic places to live. And a lot of people gladly live in places like Yokohama and then commute. I think the train ride to the heart of Tokyo is about 90 minutes. But a lot of people do it. And for them, it works.
Chiba, Funabashi, Ichikawa, Kashiwa, to name a few. And a bit beyond on the big train lines. You can still find houses that work for normal budgets. You just have to trade off station distance, age, or size. The Suzuki family. The Suzukis dream about Minato. They search for months. Every unit they like has a monthly payment that makes them nervous to sleep at night. They step back. They tour Toyosu in Koto Ward, and then Kawaguchi in Saitama. In Kawaguchi, they find an older but solid condo near a rapid line, space for a real dining table, a manageable monthly payment. The commute is 10 to 15 minutes longer, but life feels balanced. They buy there, renovate the kitchen, and they're happy. Yuka and Kai. Yuka wants a brand new 1 LDK inside the Yamanote line. The numbers barely work.
1 LDK, that's, I believe that's supposed to be 1 bedroom with living room, dining, and kitchen. So the L stands for living room, D for dining, K for kitchen.
Any interest rate change would hurt. Kai suggests a 20-plus-year-old 3 LDK in Chiba, post-1981 with strong condo reserves. They inspect it independently, upgrades windows, refresh the bath. Their monthly cost is lower than the tiny new central condo, and they have space to live. So when you hear Tokyo is unaffordable now, often they're talking about the hot basket. If you zoom out, the middle basket and parts of the cold basket still offer real value, especially if you're okay with used plus renovation. And that leads us to some myths that I want to kill right now. All right, so let's rapid fire some myths. Myth 1, Japan is cheap everywhere. Fact, top addresses are expensive. Real bargains live in normal areas and older homes.
Yeah. Suburbs, smaller towns, smaller metro areas, older homes. You want to live in the heart of Tokyo, you're going to pay top dollar for that. Because it's the equivalent of saying, oh, I want to live in the heart of New York City. I want to live in Midtown Manhattan. Or I want to live in London. I want to live in Hyde Park or Kensington or someplace like that. I want to live in Paris overlooking the Champs-Élysées. That shit's expensive, chat.
Myth 2. Old means unsafe. Fact. Some old
true.
homes are solid, some aren't. Inspections and retrofits matter more than
it's gotta be
age
retrofitted,
alone.
that's all.
Myth 3. If it's cheap, it's a steal. Fact. Maybe it's non-rebuildable, in a hazard zone, or needs major repairs. Always ask, why is it cheap? Myth
And like he said before, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
4. New is always the best. Fact, the new
not
build ladder
always.
is fading. Many younger buyers choose 20 to 30-year-old homes, renovate, and get almost new interiors for less than a tiny 100 million yen plus century.
Oh, it's great that they can get all of that at a fraction of a brand new home. It's good that they're discovering the art of renovation and giving old structures new life.
Unit. Myth 5. Central, brand new, small is better than older, bigger, outer metro. Fact, a well-located older home with a smart renovation can deliver more space, comfort, and value with an easy train ride. Myth 6. Used homes always lose. Fact, clear inspection reports and good maintenance can protect value. The problem isn't used, it's unknown condition. Next, I promised you a simple checklist if you ever want to shop here, even just for fun on the internet. This is the same structure we use when we help foreigners buy their first property in Japan. If you're still watching, you now understand why Japan can feel affordable. Now let's talk about how to look at a property. Use this as your mental checklist. 1. Location. Ask, how long is a train ride to a major station? Is the land flat or in a steep slope? What do the flood and landslide maps say? Are there noisy roads, factories, or clubs nearby? Are there shops, clinics, schools, and snow management if it's in a snow area? Cheap house in a dead location is cheap for a reason. 2. Building. Year built before or after 1981. Structure type. Wood, steel, reinforced concrete. Inspection. Roof leaks, moisture, termites, wiring, plumbing, windows, insulation, heating. For condos, also check monthly building fees and repair reserve fund. The long-term repair plan, the rules, pets, renovations, rentals. 3. Legal and rights. Does the land meet Setsudo rules? Does it touch a legal road by enough width? Is it rebuildable or is it Saiken Chikufuka, non-rebuildable? Are there shared roads, easements, clear boundaries? Is it freehold or leasehold? These legal details can completely change future value. 4. Money. Your real cost is price plus repairs plus taxes plus insurance plus travel plus yearly upkeep. If you earn in foreign currency, remember that yen can move a lot. Think about when you convert money, not just how much. Always leave room for surprises. Small fixes add up. Big fixes add up even more. 5.
True.
Purpose. Ask yourself, why this home? Vacation base, family visits, a rental, a project to fix up? How often will you actually use it? Who looks after it when you're away? IKEA in the mountains might sound romantic, but if you only come once a year and no one checks on it, it can decay quickly.
Yeah, that can become a pain in the ass.
Don't need to be an expert on Japanese law or speak perfect Japanese, but if you use this checklist, you'll avoid most of the worst mistakes foreigners make. Now let's zoom out one last time and talk about what all this really means. So, why are Japanese homes so affordable? Because Japan isn't one market. It's a hot basket of super central brand name spots that are expensive and fast. A huge middle basket and a cold basket where most of the affordable homes live. Prices feel low because people love brand new, so used homes drop in price. Earthquake rules and the 1981 line that makes older homes feel older and riskier.
I think he's just recapping everything we've seen thus far. We'll go ahead and give this a like. And then I'm going to pop that link into chat for everybody. Go give it a like. Go give Shumatsu a post to follow.